Another day in the life of watching movies, so let's see what's on here, shall we? Oh, look at this. An animated version of The Return of the King. Wow. Well, I love a book by J.R. Tolkien, and I really love a Peter Jackson film from 2003, so what of this will be like? It's by Rankin Bass, the same people who did the Hobbit movie, which I really hated. Well, this is 3 years after the Hobbit came out, so yeah, I'm hoping they improved it, so yeah. I think I might check it out. Luke, don't watch it! Huh? Wait, hold on. You're that future version of me again, aren't you? What do you want this time? I'm here from the future. I need to warn you about something very dangerous, okay? Something very bad that you're not going to like at all. Oh no, I think I know what you're going to warn me about this time. What do you want, future me? You're about to watch the animated Return of the King movie. Don't watch it. You hated the Hobbit movie, and you're going to really hate the Return of the King movie. You're not going to like it. It's going to be really bad for you. You're going to absolutely hate it. I'm very sorry, but you're not going to like it, okay? Like, if you love the live-action film, then don't watch this film, because it's terrible. You're going to hate it. You know what, future me? I told you to leave me alone before, and you didn't listen, did you? You came back, and I want to judge this for myself, okay? And see if it's good or bad, alright, in my own opinion. So, can you please leave right now? Oh no, I am not disappearing this time. Fine, you're leaving me no choice. I've got to get out of my seat and tell this guy to leave, guys, haven't I? Don't say I didn't warn you. Sorry about that, guys. My future self keeps on trying to warn me about things, doesn't he? You know, he's trying to ruin my fun, you know, watching a new film. But, oh well, better get start the movie. Oh my god. Why didn't I listen to my future self? Why? Hey everyone, Lucamus Prime here. So, as you saw from the opening of the video and from the title, I have just seen the animated adaptation of The Return of the King, made by Rankin and Bass. Now, so, this movie, in my humble opinion, guys, is absolutely terrible. Like, what did they do to this movie? They ruined such an amazing book, being The Return of the King by J.R. Tolkien. It's one of my favourite books of all time, and they've ruined it. So, what is this movie about? So, this is basically an adaptation of The Return of the King book. But the problem is, you know, they do it terribly in this movie, so yeah. Now, those you wondering, yes, I do prefer this movie over the Rankin Bass adaptation of The Hobbit, but there's only 2 reasons why I prefer it, guys. Well, probably either 2 or 3. So, one is because of Samwise Gamgee. Like, this movie was basically, you know, Sam was like the heart and soul of this movie. He was probably like the only character that I cared about in this movie. The only one that I cared about. So yeah, I prefer, you know, him compared to The Hobbit, basically, yeah. That's why Roddy McDowall, may rest in peace, who voiced him, is my second favourite Sam, right after Sean Astin. Another thing I do also love is, I like the design for the orcs and the Uruk-hai more in this compared to the goblins, because, as I said in my Hobbit review, I thought the goblins looked like giant frogs, whereas in this movie, orcs luckily look very different, which I was happy about. I also do like how, unlike the Hobbit film, which I noticed was, this movie actually has female characters in it, whereas the Hobbit one didn't. So yeah, it didn't have any female human characters at all, or female elves or anything like that, whereas this movie has Arwin, which I was happy about. But yeah, but on to the bad things about this movie. There's so much bad stuff about this movie. So, right off the bat, the movie's start is terrible because it begins at the end of the story at Bilbo's birthday party in Rivendell, and it spoils that Frodo, Sam, Merry, Pippin and Gandalf survive the film. And it also spoils that Frodo has lost his finger to Gollum. It spoiled it. So, like, that creates a very serious lack of tension. It was terrible. And not only that, but when we actually go back to when it should have picked up on, you know, at the start of the story, it begins, you know, when Frodo has been kidnapped by the orcs after the confrontation with Shelob the giant spider, who by the way does not appear in the movie, guys. So yeah, they basically ignore the previous 2 books almost. And they rely only on the 3rd book. Like, It's as if, this movie it's as if The Hobbit was the only prequel to this movie. They don't care about the Fellowship of the Ring or the Two Towers. So that really annoyed me. Not only that, Gandalf was okay in this movie, voiced by the great John Huston, may he rest in peace. But I hated how he didn't do much in this movie at all. The only thing he does is kill one orc. That's it. Gandalf was wasted in this film. Oh yeah, I'm going to say the voice cast of the movie is good as well. I'm not going to say it, but, because we can't blame the actors. Orson Bean, who played Bilbo in The Hobbit, returned not just as Bilbo, but also as Frodo, so yeah. He did sound too much a bit like Bilbo when he played Frodo, I'm not going to lie. But I've got to give him credit for voicing a much older Bilbo, considering this was only 3 years after the Hobbit film, so yeah. I've got to give Orson Bean credit, and of course, may rest in peace. I already said I did enjoy Roddy McDowall as Sam. And Theodore Biker was also good as Aragorn too. Very good. So was Nellie Bellflower as Arwin, and also Casey Kasem and Solly Melendrez as Merry and Pippin. And also William Conrad as Denethor. But now, one thing I will say as well is, in terms of character designs, didn't really like the design of the Frodo in this movie, or Merry and Pippin, because they looked like, they looked like monkeys again. And I couldn't say the design at all, to be honest. Like, Sam's design was the only design that I was okay with. Others, not so much. And also, now with regards to Denethor, while I do think William Conrad did a good job voicing him, I hated how he was also wasted in this movie because he only has one scene. And that's when he is met by Gandalf and Pippin. And what's stupid is, guys, they don't explain why he's gone mad. They don't explain it whatsoever. So that really annoyed me. Like, I don't get that. And not only that, but as well, this movie also made the mistake of, cutting out lots of characters from the book. Just like our Hobbit and also the 1988 Lord of the Rings by Ralph Bakshi did. For example, probably the biggest mistake the movie made in terms of cutting out characters was cutting out Legolas and Gimli. They do not appear in this movie, guys. They got cut out, and that really annoyed me because they play a big role in the book, and they got cut out. Like, how could we do that? So basically, the Fellowship of the Ring is basically almost extinct in this movie because they're not in it. Not only that, but they also cut out Faramir, and also Faramir is not in the film either. Like, he's not mentioned on screen at all. Like, they don't even confirm that Denethor is the father of Boromir and Faramir at all. So, like, it's because of that they don't explain why he's gone mad in the first place. There's that, and also the fleet as well, of, the enemies, which drives him to going mad. But we don't explain that he's the father of Boromir and Faramir, and that he's depressed following the loss of Boromir. Now, with regards to the cast as well, one reason, there is like one casting choice that I could not stand in this movie, which I could not take whatsoever, is the Witch King of Angmar, because the design was okay, but I just could not stand the voice at all. Like, it sounded too much like a robot, like a Decepticon, basically. John Stevenson is a great voice actor, so I'm not blaming him for this. It's the direction he was given. They should have told him to use his Thundercracker voice from the G1 Transformers show, which is much more intimidating and a bit deeper than Witch King's voice in this film. They should have told him to use that voice and add, a deeper effect to it to make it deep and scale like they did to Andy Serkis in the live action. So it's because of this that I very much prefer the Andy Serkis version from Return of the King's live action film. So yeah. Now, another thing that I also could not stand about this movie, guys, was the way they treated King Theoden. Because, guys, while I did not mind Don Messick as his voice, I think Don Messick did a great job voicing King Theoden. May rest in peace. The way King Theoden died was absolutely pathetic. Because, guys, in the book, he is killed by the Witch King of Angmar by causing his horse, Snowmane, to fall onto him and to break his bones. And it kills him shortly afterwards. But in this movie, the Witch King causes like a very dark cloud to appear, and it scares Theoden's horse, Snowmane. And Snowmane knocks Theoden off him, and Theoden dies upon hitting the ground. Like, that's pathetic. What kind of death is that? How can you die from falling off a horse like that? Wasn't even that high up. And also, because of this, he never got a chance to say his goodbyes to Arwin, either. Which I think is horrible. So, luckily, in Return of the King by Peter Jackson, his death is much more faithful to the source material. Now, and also as well, speaking of, Arwin as well, I also really hated how both she and Aragorn have such little screen time in this film. Because they don't appear until towards the end of the movie. I'm not kidding. Like, I don't get it, because the movie is called The Return of the King being Aragorn, yet the king himself is barely in the movie. Oh, man. I did not like that at all. Oh, man. Now, with regards to Gollum in this film, Brother Theodore did the best he could as him, yes, but once again, I hated his design where he looked like a frog. I didn't really like that, to be honest. Another thing as well, guys, that also annoyed me is there was a massive amount of narration. So much narration, like, it got really annoying because, like, I mean, I'd agree with the YouTuber Caleb Johansson, I think he's called, the guy who covers this film and many other adaptations of the Lord of the Rings stuff and The Hobbit, that, in a film you show and don't tell. I'd agree with him on that. This movie, however, tells more than shows because of the overabundance of narration by Gandalf. Like, we're only like 5 minutes into the movie and he narrates so much, and it gets on my nerves. I mean, if you guys like it, that's totally fine because it's your opinion, but I didn't like it. Now, another thing as well that also... I did not... There's a reason why I don't really like the orcs in this movie, despite liking the design more than the goblins in The Hobbit. Being that, now, this movie feels like a musical because they have an overabundance of songs, many of which weren't even created by Tolkien at all. And probably the worst thing they did in this movie is the orcs sing. Like, really. They sing a song called Where There's a Whip, There's a Way. Now, I'm not going to lie, guys. Paul Frees, who voiced the orcs in Uruk-hai, did a very good job of his singing. He's got a very good singing voice, but they gave that song to the wrong characters because the orcs are evil. Like, this ruins the whole idea of Tolkien had of them being evil. That's ridiculous. So yeah, I did not like that one bit. And another thing as well, guys, is I also really hated the final act of the movie because, unlike the book, in which there's a big battle at the Black Gate, instead, it doesn't happen. Because before they can fight, the ring is destroyed. They cut out the battle at the Black Gate. So unlike Return of the King by Peter Jackson, where there's an epic final battle, they cut it out in this film. And I was very disappointed. Like, I don't know why they had to cut it out, because it would probably save the movie if they included a final battle between, good and evil. So yeah, I was very disappointed about that. Like, I really didn't like that one bit. But, to be honest, guys, like I said, I do think this is slightly better than the Hobbit film. Only slightly better, though. Like, because, as I told you, I have got major issues with this film. Or another example of a character they cut out, guys, which I forgot to mention, is Lady Arwin. She does not appear in this movie at all, which disappointed me. I was very furious that she did not return, because she didn't appear in the Ralph Bakshi adaptation of Lord of the Rings from 1978, so I was hoping she'd appear in this movie, but she didn't. So I was let down by that. And not only that, but they also cut out Galadriel at the end as well, which annoyed me. Because she's quite an important character despite only having quite a small role. So I was very disappointed. And now with regards to the ending of the movie, when Aragorn returns to Minas Tirith as, the King of Gondor, we get a song, called, the lyrics are like, the end of the ring, the return of the king. And that annoyed me because, we've just seen the ring being destroyed. We don't need to hear it again. Good Lord. So that's definitely something I'd agree with Caleb on. Most definitely, the YouTuber I told you about before. So yeah, I will put a link to his channel in the description below so you guys can go check him out and go and support him. And see, this movie was a disappointment. I was hoping it'd be better. And while it slightly was, because of the good things I mentioned, being Sam and also, You know, the design for the orcs and also female characters being included this time. You know, this movie as a whole was terrible. I didn't like it. So, if you only want to give it out of 10, guys, because it was slightly better than The Hobbit, which I scored 2 out of 10, I'm going to give this movie a 4 out of 10. And that's me being generous, because I'd probably give it 0, maybe. But luckily, because of those good things, I give it 4. So, guys, this was me doing my rant review of The Return of the King from 1980 by Rankin and Bass. So, you know the drill, guys. Be sure to give this video a like. Also, be sure to on the comments what you guys think of this movie. I'd love to see what you guys think of it. Also, be sure to join Team Prime by pressing subscribe. More videos coming in the future. And fly, you fools!